We haven't really covered this here on the channel, but we're going to talk about him. Dan Wootton. He was a serial bully at the Sun, and bosses promoted him as the complaints was silent. The exclusive from Byline Times, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with the exclusive from Byline Times, and that is Dan Wootton was a serial bully at the Sun, but bosses promoted him as his complaints were silent. So I didn't cover the main article of the story, but if you guys would like me to cover it, I can do in a separate video. If you guys want that, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm more than happy to read it. This guy is a lot. There's a lot of things to say about him. Now let's be very clear here that these are not, as of this time of the recording, these have not proven to be these are the term innocent until you're proven guilty. It's very important that we stress that. However, Dan Wootton has kind of not exactly painted himself as a bright light, as a beacon of hope for people. But let's read it, because Byline Times would not publish something like this, as in damning of this, unless they had the evidence to support it. And they do phenomenal work. And recently, during the time of this recording, Byline Times has been subject to a lot of abuse and attack from right-wing media and right-wing people because of this, because of putting this story out there. Now, if it's from the left side point of view, it's a completely different factor. But because it's a right-wing journalist, then it's seen as something different, isn't it? So, in the second part of its 3-year investigation, Byline Times examines the professional conduct of the TV presenter when he was leading editor at Rupert Murdoch's most powerful British tabloid. Rupert Murdoch, guys, you know that guy, don't you? Dan Wootton was the subject of at least 6 bully claims from colleagues while working for The Sun, but was promoted by the newspaper. His complaints were silenced with large payoffs and non-disclosure agreements, Byline Times can reveal. The allegations made against the journalist today, a star presenter for GB News and columnist for the MailOnline, range from constructive dismissals to age discrimination, while several witnesses have also described a culture of sexual harassment under Wootton. It follows this newspaper's revelations from the Monday that Wootton had used online pseudonyms Martin Branning and Martin Josephs, among others, to trick and bribe scores of men into revealing compromising sexual materials for tax-free sums of money for up to £30,000. Representatives of women have been asked by this newspaper to confirm or deny whether the presenter was or is connected to Branning. Neither Wootton or his GB News statement on Tuesday nor his representatives have yet clarified this point. He denies any allegations of criminality. Byline Times has now spoken to multiple former editorial and support staff at Britain's biggest tabloids, many of whom are fearful of being identified after their experiences working at Murdoch-owned News UK, with one left suicidal and others suffering stress-induced hair loss and others deserting the industry. So that puts into question right there, right now, you know, what kind of culture are they playing at around certain Murdoch media tabloids? What kind of culture are they playing at the Daily Mail, at the Sun? Are people being treated fairly there? Is this a normal thing? Is this an acceptable thing? And those who are looking to seek help and require it when allegations are made against them, are they being silenced for this? I think there's some serious questions there that need to be asked. That is for sure. With one being left suicidal allegedly as well. Like that is disgusting. You know, we talk about how many times, guys, have I talked about mental health? You know, these people, when they are getting any kind of harassment, bullying, sexual harassment, whatever it is, and they can't see anyone or talk to anyone about it, that's really scary. And the other thing is that I wonder if any of them actually tried to go to the police and they were silenced in doing so as well. Like, there's that as well. Like the bit about like sums of money and just throwing money at them, saying, "Here, I signed non-disclosure agreements. Here's a ton of cash. Yada yada yada. Go away," sort of thing. Just covering up for him as well, and they have to basically put up and live with that. You know, you can't change what's happened. If these allegations are true, what's happened to these people has happened, and it's not fair on them. It's not. For that reason, we are protecting our identities, although they are known to their former employees, which last night, in response to a request for comment sent by Byline Times, contacted all staff at the Sun, announcing that it was looking into our allegations urgently. I like to think so. Among questions to the publisher, Byline Times asked it to confirm the earliest date of any recordings held digitally or analog form were contacting the name Martin Branning and Martha Joseph. These were the alias names that Dan Wootton used on men to get them to expose themselves and to basically blackmail them into money, allegedly. News UK declined to respond, but did not deny that all 6 individuals received severance payments contingent on the signing of binding restrictive covenants or non-disclosure agreements. The cost of the legal proceedings and settlements is estimated to be more than £1 million. Its internal staff email to staff is: various allegations have emerged online, have been reported over the last few days in relation to Dan Wootton. Many of you who know worked for the Sun between 2013 and 2021. The matter reports are obviously very serious and include allegations that certain actions of Mr. Wootton may have affected some members of staff at the Sun. We are looking into these allegations and urgently wish to hear from staff who may have been impacted or have the relevant information. I mean, it sounds on paper good, but, you know, from one of those people, if you're if you're working in that kind of environment, allegedly the environment that's kind of portrayed, you're not going to talk about it because they don't want you to talk about it, allegedly. You are either with him or against him. As part of a 3-year special investigation into 40-year-old Wootton, details of which will continue to publish over the coming days and weeks, Byline Times is today examining his professional conduct while employed at the Sun. While News UK last night urged potential complainants to go to the Sun's corporate affairs team, if contacted by external media for comment, this newspaper is taking care not to reveal the sexes or job titles of the 6 people whom it is understood to are not only the ones who feel they were bullied or harassed by Wootton. One of the cases, a very senior member of the Sun took a kitchen knife to a meeting with a former editor of the newspaper with the intention of slitting their own wrists in front of the executive, who had sided with Wootton in the dispute, ultimately settled for a 6-figure sum. That's pretty horrible. To even contemplate that, or to even think about that, it just shows just how messed up that person was by all this. The Sun made the payout at the 11th hour at the steps of an employment tribunal in 2018, at which emails from Wootton disclosed to the employee's lawyers would have entered the public records and led to judicial findings of facts. Former staffer told Byline Times investigators how Wootton continuously tried to make people admit they were bisexual or gay. He challenged people on their sexual orientation all the time. Several sources have spoken of the sexual harassment of male colleagues, while at least 2 female colleagues were reduced to tears daily by his conduct. Daily being reduced to tears by his actions. And other people know about this, allegedly, and allegedly they're not doing anything about it. This is pretty horrible. You know, and we talked about, you know, this is a massive. This is not the same thing as with Hugh Edwards, guys. And they made that story. They blew that story right out of proportion because he was such a big figure at the BBC. And it seemed to be consensual as well. Why is this not being blown out as big? Because they don't want to blow it out as big. One rule for them and one rule for another. You know, this should be something that should be plastered all over the place, to say to people, whether they are true or not, to say to people, this is not acceptable, this is not okay, this kind of behaviour is wrong in every aspect. The Prime Minister should be literally coming out and condemning this kind of behaviour in any environment. But you don't hear that. Naming 3 particular targets of very inappropriate behaviour, they said. He sexually harassed these male colleagues all the time. One would come in and Dan would offer comment on the way he looked at him and gloked him, saying, "Are you sure you want to be married? We all know you're gay." He was pressuring them to turn gay and acting like it was a joke, but people, men, women, everybody who heard were visibly uncomfortable, especially it was coming from a boss. A different source said, "You were either with him or against him. If you were against him, he would make your life a misery, and if you were with him, he would treat you as a slave. He demanded people run errands for him, get him food or drinks, or do his dry cleaning. It was so demeaning, but it amused him. If you want to stay in your job, there was no choice but to endure." Byline Times can reveal how another complaint started losing their hair with stress after working closely with Wootton. Those conducts that the Sun's executive director was characterised as being one who considered himself untouchable and made you feel helpless. Another News UK staffer was marched from the company's headquarters after being undermined and consistently dismissed for months and months by Wootton before standing up to him with a complaint to the paper then editor. The staffer says he was ridiculously stressful. He was consistently condescending and sarcastic. Diaries of his behaviour were kept, the things he was doing. As the boss, he had control over the company's payment system. He would sabotage other journalists. He would go into the payment system and find other names of contacts. He would then get in touch with them himself and then make deals with them directly. It was impossible to do your job. The most valuable thing a journalist has are their contacts. They are our stock in trade. It was a classic campaign of constructive dismissal. He knew what he was doing. So he basically, journalists that weren't on his side, he ripped them apart and literally took everything from them. This is vile. If these allegations are true, absolutely vile. That he would rip these people apart just because they didn't want to play his game, allegedly. It's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. This is a madman. The picture that's being painted is Dan as an absolute freaking madman. A different member of staff became thinner and thinner and cried every day. They worked with Wootton, who said they destroyed them physically and mentally. Another editorial worker said there were months and months of real bullying, mind games and heavy emails, often late at night, that so bad they ruined your sleep. Just as News UK started asking questions last night about Wootton's conduct there, bringing in external legal counsel to oversee human resources investigation, Byline Times can reveal that it's not the first time Wootton's relationship with his HR department has been questioned. In October 2018, Private Eye reported admissions about Wootton without naming him regarding an investigation into the subject of bullying complaints a year earlier. The magazine told how a tired and emotional former head of HR, Rachel Martin, who, like Wootton, is from New Zealand, had a group of journalists drinking in a pub by News UK Central HQ, that she had tried to protect Wootton during a probe who was overseeing into his conduct. Private Eye reported how the Sun's journalist questioned Martin's impartiality, given she was seen enjoying Wootton's hospitality in the official News UK executive box at the O2 while her investigation into his behaviour was ongoing. Byline Times has learned that one of the Sun's 6 on-legal advisors went above Rachel Martin in a complaint in 2018. As a result, News UK was obliged to use HR's professionals as an attached to a sister company, Wireless, to oversee an investigation leading to a larger settlement. Martin left the company and went back to New Zealand soon after. A source at the Sun said Dan got so many perks and so much access it was easy for him to integrate himself. He made sure Rachel Martins was like his best mate. Demands for another promotion. The list of complaints about Wootton did not stop News UK from promoting him and giving him pay rises and ever more prominent positions at the newspaper. He had a decisive fallout with the current editor Victoria Newton. In February 2020, on her first day in the role, Wootton left Newton furious by demanding she promote him, prompting a cute move by the new editor, who reached out to Wootton's best remaining royal contacts and then placed them on a special retainer, ensuring that they dealt exclusively with her. A source said this was the beginning of the end for Dan at the Sun. He didn't like having the same move pulled on him, so he had done so many contacts to other people. Less than a year later, Wootton left News UK for his current position at GB News. Over the years, Wootton used his Twitter account, of which he has over 500,000 followers, to criticise others accused of bullying, including 2020 when he tweeted, "As one of Philip Schofield's closest colleagues at ITV for many years, his comments on the bullying books were very revealing. I would never neglect these allegations because they are valid. If these people are coming forward, there is no smoke but fire will." That's even worse if it's true. If everything being told here is true, that he can just talk comfortably about other people's allegations and stuff, and yet he's the one in the firing line right now. He also used a bizarre column in The Sun in October 2017 to take aim at sexual harassment carried out by the fallen Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. In the first-person article, he condemned a disgusting conspiracy of silence that he claimed that had been engineered by some of the most powerful and famous men in Hollywood to protect a beastly individual with a long and well-known track record of the most appalling and politically illegal treatment of young, innocent and somewhat naive women. Wootton also used his platform to regularly discuss the use of his NDAs and their legal validity in the private lives of a number of celebrities, including TV personalities and Marlene and Paul Hollywood, despite the Sun 6 being subjected to them. Byline Times contacted representatives of Don William, but his solicitors declined to comment. The newspaper will, of course, update the article with any comments on the record. That was pretty brutal. As I've said several times in the video, guys, these are allegations at the time of this recording, and we have to treat them as that. But if these allegations are to be true, this man should be thrown behind bars with the key thrown away for the rest of his life for treating people like that and for thinking it's okay. And I'm sure he's been told that his behaviour has been unacceptable, and he doesn't care. If these allegations and everything that's been stated by Byline Times is found to be true, these are the kind of people that should be nowhere near power. They should be nowhere near have any kind of authority whatsoever. These are the kind of people with intent to do harm and takes pleasure in the joy of harming other people, of degrading, demoralising other people for their own satisfaction. It's disgusting. Anyone who is like that is a despicable human being, and this is destroying people's lives mentally, not just physically, mentally. The mental mindset that they have to live with these memories for the rest of their lives. You can't erase that, and that's the worst thing about it, guys. So, do you want me to cover more on it? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want me to read the main article, I can do. Any more comes out, would you guys like me to read them? What do you guys make of the investigation by Byline Times? Do you think it's all true? Do you think that we should wait until he's proven to be guilty or not guilty? Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all very, very soon.